In today's video, we're going to show you Dave Ramsey's top frugal living tips. Number 1, save $1,000 for an emergency fund. Saving $1,000 is a relatively easy endeavor that many people can do within 30 days, according to David Ramsey. This frugal living tip is not designed to be the entry of your emergency fund, but rather act as a buffer so that way you can deal with emergencies more easily. The truth is that there's always going to be difficult financial times, so being prepared with cash on hand to combat those emergencies can help you to avoid serious financial turmoil and a mountain of stress. Number 2, the debt snowball. Dave Ramsey says that paying off debts is arguably the most important frugal living tip, and it should be the first thing that you need to do when learning to save money and build wealth. He came up with a wonderful system called the debt snowball. The way that it works is that you organize your debts from largest to smallest. For example, your biggest debt is likely your house, followed by your car, and let's say your smallest debt is your credit card. Once your debts are organized, you vehemently attack the smallest debt and pay it off as quickly as possible, and while you continue doing this, you end up getting to the major expenses like your home, which will end up likely taking off many years before it's paid off. Number 3, save 3 to 6 months expenses for an emergency fund. After you've cleared out the majority of your debts, Dave Ramsey recommends that developing a proper emergency fund is the next best frugal living tip. The typical amount of money that you should have in your emergency fund savings should end up covering the general expenses of life for at least 3 to 6 months. This will allow you to withstand any financial hit that may come along, so that way you don't have to fall back into debt and continue living the life that you want to lead. Number 4, 15% of your income for growth. With your debts mostly paid off and your emergency funds finally set up, the next frugal living tip, Dave Ramsey says, is to save at least 15% of your income and place it into savings. However, it is important to place your funds into proper places. For example, if your retirement funds like a Roth IRA, traditional IRA, or 401k aren't fully invested in, then that would be something to do first. If your retirement accounts are full and you consistently add the maximum amount you can every year, the next best place for your funds would end up being good growth and mutual fund stock. There are many app websites with various professional investors that can help you to place your money in the best growth stocks and mutual funds so that way you can watch your money grow. Number 5, save for children's college. One of the biggest expenses that anyone can have if they're not prepared are student loans. And unfortunately, many children who enter college are not financially prepared to deal with the huge payments which are incurred because of it. So, David Ramsey says that one of the top frugal living tips is to follow and make sure that you save up for your children's college. The first important thing to consider is how old are your kids? Are they just about to get into college, or are you still pregnant with your child? If your child wants to go to college and they're ready to enter next year, then you'll need to save much more aggressively. If your child hasn't been born yet, then you can take your time and save slowly. Also, he says that if your children can't pay for the college fees, then don't let them go to college. This will give them huge payments that they'll have to deal with for many decades and is simply not frugal. Number 6, pay off your home. The single biggest debt that any person has to pay is a mortgage. These often take several years to pay off, but when you can pay off your home entirely, you're knocking on the door of financial freedom, according to David Ramsey. The frugal living tip is essentially focusing on paying off your home as quickly as possible. Through his statistics, the average household can strictly follow trying to pay off their home, as well as other 5 frugal living tips he recommends, will pay it off in about 7 to 8 years. While this may seem absolutely insane, with the proper dedication and commitment, it can be done. Number 7, build wealth and give. It's one thing to save money and build wealth through good frugal habits, but saving and keeping money is not always what frugality is about. In fact, being overly stingy can negatively impact your savings and actually cause you to spend more. For example, let's say you're consistently rejecting your need to have a specific item. Then, you may end up binging and buying a whole lot more than what you need. This is a very common effect for people who are trying to follow diets too strictly. They end up eating more than they were previously. Another example could be strained relationships with your kids. For instance, if you become cheap with buying gifts for your kids or simply avoiding gifts at all, then even though you got a lot of money, your kids won't be happy, which really defeats the purpose of frugal living. Being frugal means learning to save, but also learning to give and be generous to both you and those around you.